Who is Salihu Lukman? Salihu Lukman was born on the 12th September 1980 to a popular Lukman Alkali Lukman's family in Alkali, Zaria city. Salihu enrolled at early primary school in Zaria city. That was in 1985. From there, he moved to Government Day Secondary School, Zaria, at the age of 11 in 1991 to 1992 section. It was during his secondary school days at Government Day Secondary School, Zaria, that he was introduced to Muslim Refresher Course program by his friend and his cousin as well, Engineer Idris Malami, whom he has held in high esteem. From there, after graduating from Muslim Refresher Course program from Government Secondary School, Zaria, after graduating with flying colors, Salihu gained admission at the age of 18 to Ahmad Bello University, Zaria, to study water resources and environmental engineering in 1999. He graduated in 2004 and he was the best graduating student that year. From there, Madam Salihu proceeded to Gombe for his National Youth Service Corps, which is a mandatory. He did his service at Gombe. From there, he came back to Ahmad Bello University and studied hydraulics and engineering hydrology in ABU Zaria in 2006. That is MSc. After that, in his quest for knowledge, Salihu did not stay there. He was offered an admission, a scholarship to study for PhD in environmental engineering in the prestigious King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. That is the best in the Arab world and one of the best in the world. In exactly 3 years, it was selected for him. On completion of his PhD, he was offered with a lecturing job at the Hafid Department, Saudi Arabia. He was there as an assistant professor. He was there serving for quite some time. He even reached a position of a dean, faculty of engineering. You can bear with witness. Salihu was with us last year when we were doing the same as we are doing today. Salihu has written over 124 citations from Google Scholar. Wow, some achievement. He has written more than 75 publications, spanning from articles in peer review and local journals. He's involved in about 10 environmental and water resources research. Madam Salihu was conferred with a fellowship by the Strategic Institute of Natural Resources and Human Development. He is now back to the country, back to his alma mater, back to where he started, that is Ahmad Bello University, Zaria. His mentors were, among others, Dr. Halil Lawal Dadi, Malam Zubair Rilwan Babanjumai, Malam Ibrahim Physics, and Dr. Suleiman Garba. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you one of our Malam Salihu Lukman, a doctor in engineering, a scholar for that. I don't want to preempt. I just want to present you Malam Salihu. He will tell you the rest himself. I present you Malam Salihu Lukman. Thank you.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله Amma ba'da, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The special guest of honor, the guest of honor, the chairman of the occasion, the chief host, the father of the day, invited guests, parents, fellow teachers, students, outgoing, continuing, good morning to you all. I must start by saying that it gives me great pleasure to be invited as a guest speaker in this great occasion. First of all, I must say I'm extremely relaxed and ecstatic when I see the two great personalities that we have. One of them, Professor I.J. Musa, Ibrahim Jara Musa, and Professor Bashir. Probably in the course of my discussion, the name of Prof. I.J. Musa may feature in again. The topic was carefully chosen. I formulated it. It reads, don't give up on your dream. Dream and dream big. It was carefully chosen because of the audience that I know will be here, most of whom are students currently studying in various levels, junior, secondary school, senior, and some even in the university. So I chose this topic to more or less to give some motivation and probably and along the line share some of my experiences as it relates to dreaming and dreaming big. The presentation outline is presented thus: study yourself, proper choice, dream and dream big, never give up on your dream, and opportunities abound. It may be very short. Maybe very short, probably just 30 or 40 minutes. However, I will try as much as possible to elaborate where necessary. There is a popular saying by Jack Ma which reads, never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. I know a lot of you probably now, will be complaining about the academic structure that you are currently undergoing, the difficulties and what have you, either at the secondary school level or the university level. So just so you know, bear this at the back of your mind. Yes, today is hard, no two ways about it. But tomorrow is going to be worse. So that be prepared. Prepare your mind towards tomorrow. It's going to be worse than today. But then, surely, the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. This is just a way to tell you that whatever you are going through now, don't expect is the end of the world. Tomorrow will be worse, but surely the day after tomorrow is going to be sunshine. I will elaborate more as I proceed. Study yourself. Study yourself. As a student, the first thing you have to do is to identify your skills. Identification of your skills entails a lot, in the sense that the courses you are taking, the subjects, identify your strengths and weaknesses right from the word go. And try to count on your strengths. And the weaknesses, it's not that you will just accept them, but you will have to try as much as possible to overcome them, if possible. Don't just because you identify a particular subject to be threatening or to be so difficult, and then you feel, no way, I cannot continue with this study. I have to drop out. No, you have to take up the challenge, just like I mentioned in the previous slide. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will surely be sunshine. I will elaborate more on this with some examples, and at the same time, always remember that there is ability in every disability. What do I mean by that? Some may be physically handicapped. Some not physically handicapped, but having lapses here and there. For instance, some may say, I hate mathematics. Yet, probably he may be a science student. Some may say, I hate English. So, just know that in every disability, or there is ability in every disability. And in this case, some may be physically handicapped. What do I mean by that? Some may be blind. Do you know that blind people have very high retentive and photographic memory? But here in Nigeria, once someone is physically handicapped, he feels like that is a license for him to go on the street and become a beggar. In Saudi Arabia, they have like a special program for blinds in which they memorize the glorious Quran at the age of 3. And that is why, if you realize, most of their grand muftis are all blind. For time immemorial, most of their grand muftis are all blind. Because they have a special program for them. Once you are blind, then it means you have a special ability despite your disability. But here we don't harness that. We see it as a license to go and roam on the streets, become beggars, become nuisance to the society. This is one side. On the other hand, if you feel there is a particular area, a particular subject which you tried so hard to overcome but probably becomes unsurmountable, you can still look at the other area in which you are very excellent and bank on that one. Like I said, I will still buttress my point with a lot of examples in the course of the discussion. Yeah, stories of Newton and Einstein. For those that are not from the science background, I am extremely sorry, accept my apologies. However, even if you are not from the science background, I'm sure you have heard the name Newton and Einstein. Newton, to start with, is the greatest genius to have ever walked the face of the earth. Born, I think, 1627, thereabout, and died somewhere, I think, 1742. And Einstein just lived in the previous century, born 1879, died 1955. Einstein is the greatest scientist of the 20th century. They all have some stories towards the topic, study yourself. Let's start with Newton. Newton was born premature, and his father died at a young age, so his mother remarried, and then he went to school. He wasn't so attentive in school, but he has skills. He can create things. But he wasn't attentive in school, not so outstanding, until his university days. So, well, I say introvert. He's not someone that talks a lot. And there's the popular saying that he was once herding some flock of sheep, and he was deep into his thought, and they all moved to farmland and clear some, plants and what have you. He's the most absent-minded professor on record. Despite this drawback, but Newton reshaped the world of science, or the world of physics at the time. He laid the very foundations of motion of bodies. We all know the Newton's laws of motion, laws of gravitation, laws of cooling. He invented one of the greatest topic in mathematics, calculus. He invented calculus, dy by dx, although he used f prime of x, but he invented calculus, although independently with Leibniz. I will still come back to Newton to elaborate more on that, because despite all this achievement of Sir Isaac Newton, he died feeling not fulfilled, because he embarked on something called alchemy. At the time, mixing of metals to get gold, because gold, is a sign of, a sign of dignity and rank and what have you. So Newton involved in alchemy, mixing metals to get gold, but until his death, he couldn't make any headway. So on that note, although he tried so hard but couldn't achieve anything, and that was obviously because of the advances of chemistry during his time, because then chemistry was next to nothing. We'll come back to that. Let's move to Einstein, whom I say he lived just a century ago. It was said that he started speaking at the age of 4. And even at that, when he finished his primary school, his parent went to his headmaster to ask him, what do you think this little boy, should study in higher level, high school and what have you? He said, no, it doesn't matter. He will not amount to anything. Because at the time, there was no potential in Einstein. So he said, don't bother yourself. He won't amount to anything. That was Albert Einstein. And that was because of probably his disposition at the time. He spoke very late. Although even at the age of 4, there was something that captured his mind and intuition. He was he was sick, so his uncle brought a compass. You know, compass, when you place it, it moves to the north, south, because of the Earth's magnetic field. So that ignited a lot of thinking that why does it move? At the age of 4, he started thinking why. But the rest is history, in the sense that he graduated from university, he studied physics, not so outstanding. He wasn't so outstanding even in the university level, but he was excellent in physics and mathematics. And when he graduated, he couldn't secure a teaching job. He looked for a job for 2 good years, from 1901 to 1903. None of his professors could recommend him. Why? Because Einstein is a troublesome guy. He had probably quarreled with all of his professors, and none was willing to recommend him for any teaching job. Then, as a last resort, he got a teaching job, a patent office job as an assistant in Switzerland, where he would sit and review some patent applications. And that was where the beginning of the end started, in the sense that in 1905, what is called his miracle year, when he finished his PhD, he published about 4 groundbreaking researches. Can you imagine? It was Einstein that confirmed the existence of atom. We all were taught that atom is the smallest indivisible part of an element. We have Robert Hooke. No, not Robert. Is it Robert Hooke? 1807, isn't it? Rutherford? No. The theory of atom. John Dalton, 1807, was the one that postulated the existence of atom. But until 1905, it was Einstein who confirmed and verified experimentally the existence of atom. He took experiment and measured the size of an atom. And then the energy, we all learned about the modern physics, the equivalency of mass and energy, and then the special theory of relativity. Einstein has a mentor, or he has a role model, which is Newton. But Newton has a different idea about how gravity works. And when Einstein came, he changed everything with the special theory of relativity. And that was why when that theory was to be presented at the Royal Society in UK by one of the astronomers that confirmed it, he looked at the statue of Newton and said, Sir Isaac Newton, I'm sorry, your universe has been overturned. This is one of the greatest minds in the world. And look at how he started, as a nobody, a non-entity. But at the end, because of determination, the rest is history. We all are aware, for those that have studied modern physics. The whole of modern physics was postulated by Einstein. Now, as a student, proper choice. What do I mean by proper choice? Stick to your heart desire. Stick to your heart desire. As a small child, someone will ask you, what do you want to be? You'll say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a soldier. I want to be the president of Nigeria. Probably that was just a mere saying, but as you grow up, you begin to study sciences, probably art subjects, then it becomes clearer, probably. And then when asked, what do you want to be? Then you can say, okay, I want to be a pilot, I want to be this, I want to be that. Stick to your heart desire. It's unfortunate now that you will find, graduating students from secondary school, when you ask them, what do you want to be? He will think twice and say, I don't know. Yet he passed his WAEC excellently, but he doesn't know what he wants to be in life. That is what is called NFA, no future ambition. And that is terrible. You have to define what you want to be right from the word go. And then not just talking, but you have to walk the talk. You have to follow that ambition that you are nursing with practical steps of getting there. We will elaborate more on this. Hard work and excellence, exactly. After nursing your idea, your ambition, and whatever it is, you have to be very hardworking, and you have to always strive to excel in all that you do. In all that you do. Law of convergence, the pyramid. What do I mean by that? Some of you that have graduated now, probably you have already started for JAM and will be waiting for admission. Admission now is not something that, okay, if you apply for medicine, you have certainty 100% that you will get that course which you applied for. More often than not, you may be giving a course which you have never heard of the name sometimes. Yet, probably you may have to go for it because you may not be able to wait again and write another JAM. So, despite the fact that you have your choice, but more often than not, these are some practical steps which we always experience. It's not always the course that you choose that will finally be given to you. Sometimes you may be lucky and sometimes you may not. So, what I want to highlight on the law of convergence is that just bear at the back of your mind that at the base, meaning at the lower level, on the graduate level, the courses are distinct and different. You may say, this is a science student. It is a non-professional course. I want to be an engineer, a medical doctor, this and that. As such, I don't want to go to science, to humanities, and what have you. Yes, if you are giving your choice, good and fine. But if you are not, just bear at the back of your mind that at the lower level, it may be distinct. Someone studying physics is entirely different from someone studying engineering course or chemistry and what have you. But as you move on, that is why I'm giving the example of the pyramid. You can see at the base is wide, extremely wide. Like that is how the courses are at lower level. But when you move up the pyramid, they tend to converge. And at the tip, they become just like a point, 1 point. And that is how most of these courses are, most especially the science subjects. You may see, okay, this is a physicist, this is geologist, geographer, chemist, and what have you, and this is an engineer. Even the engineering, chemical, mechanical, civil, that may be distinctly different. But when you move up, let's say for postgraduate studies, masters, they tend to converge. When you go to PhD level, they tend to become just 1 point. In the sense that your former passion, let's say you wanted to study, let's say chemical engineering, because most of the engineering students or aspirants, they want chemical. And then you were given something else, be it civil, mechanical, and what have you. If you go to higher level, you may see that you master a lot of chemical engineering principles. In fact, you may call yourself one of chemical engineers. In the sense that the difference that you are previously witnessing at the base is now closed up. And that is the reality of life. So when given admission to study whatever it is, do your istikhara and then go for it. Go for it, but bear at the back of your mind hard work and excellence. Whatever you do, the watchword is hard work and excellence. You have to excel in it, no matter what. No matter what, you just have to excel in that particular course of study. And then at the end, if you really want to, when you move up the pyramid, it becomes one. So you will have no regret that, initially I was given chemical engineering, but, I wasn't given, but now I am more or less a chemical engineer. I will cite some examples in this case as well. And that example, like I mentioned, when I saw Prof. IJ Musa walking into the hall, I felt so happy. Because in this case, I have a story to tell, which includes him. I applied for chemical engineering and was given water resources and environmental engineering. So, as usual, I don't like the course. I want to change to chemical. So, I approached Prof. Musa and explained to him. My HOD then refused to sign the form of change of course. He said no, he won't let me move out of the department. Prof. Musa went to my then HOD explained to him, convinced him beyond doubt the need for me to change. And then at last, my head signed the form. But unfortunately for me that year, all change of course applications were declined. Then in 300 level, I didn't give up. I still hated water resources then and environmental engineering. So I still applied for change of course, now not to chemical, but to civil. I approached the current head of civil engineering, Prof. Amate, who approached the then head of department, and then gave me a condition that, yes, they will accept me, but on the condition that I will be a lecturer in the department when I graduate. And then as a young lad who didn't make up, of course, teaching has been my passion for time immemorial, but then I didn't make up my mind to become a lecturer then. So I said, why will you give me this condition? Let me decide after I graduate. So that was the time when the love for my course was first instilled in me. At the end of 300 level, so you can just imagine. But all the way, I never relented, because I don't like the course, so I won't attend lectures, I won't do well in my courses. No, I give it my best, as if it were my choice. And then another story still involving Prof. Musa will still come up later, which I will also share with you. Now, going back to what we discussed before, that is about identifying your skills. I may still go back and forth just to buttress some points and to share some experiences. Identifying your skills, like most especially some of you in SS1 now, taking arts courses, science courses, most especially the science courses, because there are some notorious science courses that are nightmares. One of them is chemistry. As simple as it is, but most of science students will tell you that they are nightmares. And the story wasn't different in my own case. In fact, I wanted to change to art because of chemistry, because I don't understand it. My able teacher then, Dr. Lawal Haluru, popularly called Dr. Daddy, will explain everything, but when he goes out, I feel as if he packed all the understanding in his pocket and, move out with it. But I never relent. I still attend my classes. I have this Godwin or Ojokoku concise chemistry. I don't know if it's still in print now. Until when he taught us oxidation reduction. I think we were in SS2 then, or the end of SS1. When I tried to change to arts, I realized they have gone far, so I may not catch up. Then I accepted my fate, but still praying and pushing hard to see how I can overcome it. And that is why I told you, because you identify a challenge, that doesn't mean you will give up. No, never ever give up, as the topic says. Never give up. But at the same time, dream and dream big. After oxidation reduction, things become clearer, and then chemistry became the simplest subject I ever had. Because I prefer to sit for exam in chemistry than in Hausa or IRK. And that was how it is. And the same story goes for, let's say, mathematics. Up till SS2, in fact, back in my school, government, I don't even sit for exam in mathematics because I know I will fail it. So why will I sit for it? I don't sit for the exams at all. I abscond. I move away. But then, I was nursing the idea of becoming a medical doctor then, instilled in me by one of our greatest mentors, Dr. Daddy. We were in SS2. After second term, I said, am I not deceiving myself? I want to go to medicine, but the 5 basic subjects, it includes mathematics. And I know definitely no 2 ways I cannot pass mathematics. So it means I cannot become a medical doctor. So did you see my dream connected to identification of my skills? I dream of becoming a medical doctor, but I do not satisfy the requirement. That was when I was in SS2. Then I said, let me not deceive myself. Let me sit down and see how to overcome this mathematics nightmare. And thank God, one of my mentors is here, Engineer Bella Atiku, our mathematics teacher in SS1 and SS2. After SS2, I had some trip to Sokoto, so I missed some classes taught by him, majoration. When I came back, I requested, can I come so that you teach me this topic? And he accepted. So I went to his room and he taught me majoration. So I realized that I understood it. So that was when I picked my SS1 mathematics textbook, New General Mathematics. I started from indices, the very first topic. When I have any difficulty, I move to Engineer Idris Nuh Malemi. He's a year ahead of me for any problem so that he can solve it for me. And before we come back from that vacation, the trouble I was having with mathematics became history. And mathematics became like one of my favorite subjects. I'm giving you this example to buttress the point. You have to identify your skills. By identifying your skills, it means you have to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Your weaknesses, you don't just accept them, but you have to work round the clock to see that you overcome them at all costs and by all means. You should never accept defeat. Never, ever give up. Now, still moving, stick to your heart desire. I'll still come back. I told you I wanted to become a medical doctor, but after we finished secondary school, my mentor, Dr. Daddy, advised me, as we are going to see later, because one of them is you have to have a mentor and a role model. He advised me that in medicine, there is a course called biostatistics, which requires some additional mathematics, further mathematics. So there was this textbook, Additional Mathematics for West Africa by Godman and Talbot. He sold that book to me so that I can go and learn it on my own. So I started learning and then joined the classes of Malang Babanjumai and Malang Hassan Abba, who is also here with us, Hassan Sabu, and started learning further mathematics before our wife came out. That was where I developed the passion for mathematics and felt that I cannot do without it. Because in medicine, it's just one course that I will apply the mathematics. Then am I really going for what I want? And biology really can be ranked like number 4 in my subjects. My best subject, chemistry, physics, mathematics. Then I said, which course will combine these 3? Because I don't want to, let's say, touch one and leave the other throughout my career. Then I said, okay, chemical engineering will do fine with me. And that was when I took one of the greatest decisions in my life to say, okay, I want to go for engineering, not medicine anymore. Although even on my white papers, I write my name as Dr. Salihu Lukman, aspiring to become a medical doctor. But now my heart's desire, given my skills, which I analyzed and internalized, I now changed. I switched over to engineering, and the rest is history. Yeah, I explained the law of convergence, which is also very, very important. And how does this law of convergence affect me? Like I told you, I wanted to change to chemical. When I moved for my MSc, I did hydraulics, not environmental engineering. Because in the university, the chemistry we were taught wasn't so interesting like the one taught by Dr. Daddy in secondary school. So I began to not lose interest, but it was masked in a way. My passion for chemistry was greatly reduced. But then at PhD level, I still went to do PhD in hydraulics. But then when I took courses related to environment, I realized that my passion for chemistry has been reignited. And then I felt, no way, I cannot do without it again. So instead of doing PhD in hydraulics, I switched to environmental engineering so as to have more chemistry and so as to practice chemistry as long as I live. But then there comes the chemical engineering part, which I was pursuing, which I wanted to change in 200 level. I realized that my environmental engineering is just like chemical engineering. In my dissertation committee, there was a chemical engineer, and we still collaborate. So I realized at the top, you can be a chemical engineer, civil engineer, mechanical. It doesn't really matter. You can even be a mathematician. You can always collaborate. And it doesn't make much of a difference. Then that was when I thought that, it wasn't worth, killing oneself over change of course. Of course, at the base, it is distinct. You can say, I am studying a professional course. You are not studying a professional course. But that is at the base. When you move up, it tends to merge and become one. Prof. I.J. Musa is in geography. I am in water resources and environmental engineering. He's one of my mentors. My second paper was encouraged and put forward by Prof. I.J. Musa. That was in 2009. We collaborated and we have it published in an international journal. He is from geography. I am from water resources and environmental engineering. So you can see that at higher level, you can collaborate with whichever discipline. In fact, that is why there is the idea of multidisciplinary nature, now which is highly encouraged. Now, dream and dream big. Be ambitious. I think I have highlighted so much about being ambitious, but you have to have an ambition. What do you want to be in life? You have to define your likes and dislikes. What do you want to be? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? It has to be clearly defined. And like I mentioned, not just defining it, but you have to walk the talk. You have to be ambitious. And it doesn't take anything. You can say, I want to be the Emir of Zazzau. As we all know, the current Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammad Sunusi II. For anybody who knows him during his university days, sometimes they call him 2 minutes. That he wants to be the Emir of Kano, even if it means for 2 minutes. That has been his lifelong ambition. While he was the governor of the central bank, he was asked whether he will run for president. He said no, his greatest ambition is to be the Emir of Kano. And then there it is. He is now the Emir of Kano. He knows this ambition for so long a time. But he didn't just sit down and fold his arms in the palace and with all the dogare, no. He went out, studied, excelled in life, so that when the time came for choosing who the next emir will be, he was found suitable. Not suitable, but number one, the most suitable. So that is why you have to walk the talk. It's not just about, I want to be this, I want to be doctor, I want to be engineer, I want to be governor or president. But you have to walk the talk. That is the most important thing. You have to be ambitious and follow it with concrete actions. Now, what are the things that will guide your way? You have to get proper mentorship. Proper mentorship. I have identified a lot of my mentors here, isn't it? And I have told you in what ways have they impacted on my life. I mentioned Prof. I.J. Musa, I mentioned Dr. Dadi, Engineer Bella Atiku, to mention but few. And they all have impacted my life in one way or the other. So you have to get proper mentorship. That is one of the most important things, because someone that has stayed longer in this world definitely will be more experienced than you are. And you have to go to him to seek for advice, to get proper mentorship. On this note, I can tell you, I mentioned Dr. Suleiman Garba. He is not here. I can remember when I finished my 100 level, I was the type that, before we go to the next semester, I will try to get the note for the next semester, try to study it, so that when the semester starts, I will be on, relaxed side. So I went to him that I want to get his notes for 200 level. He said, no, that is not important. What you need now is you need to learn. Have you done technical drawing in secondary school? I said, no, I haven't. He said, okay, you need this in 200 level. So instead of focusing on what to learn in the 200 level, go and get your technical drawing textbook, drawing board, and what have you. And then he taught me technical drawing during the vacation, and the rest is history, because when we went back in the 200 level, technical, what we call engineering drawing became very simple and easy, that even those that did it in secondary school were still finding it difficult. So that is how to get proper mentorship. You have to attach yourself to your seniors, be them colleagues or whatever, so that you are well guided. We all need mentors. But not only mentors, we have to look up to a role model. It's not just mentorship, but you have to, after having your ambition, I want to be this, I want to be that. In the whole world, be it in your hamlet, in your town, in your country, who do you think fascinates you the most? In terms of the area, in terms of your ambition, okay, I want to be like that person. I want to be like, okay, like the governor of Kaduna State, because I know he graduated on top of his class at Boreal College with parallel A's. So I want to have parallel A's like him. And he finished with first class from quantity survey. I want to finish with first class in my university undergraduate level. So I want to be like him. Okay, but that is easier said than done. You still have to walk the talk. You still have to walk the talk. But you have to identify a role model. And that will, in one way or the other, help in shaping your life, in shaping your whole life. When you identify a role model, you will work towards becoming similar to that person. But definitely, a role model should be someone that has positive attitudes, not negative one. Don't say, I want to be like Metesine, Anini, this and that. No, definitely. It has to be someone outstanding who has excelled in the area that is matching your ambition. I will give you one simple instance that affects me. I told you I have the ambition of becoming a medical doctor, which later, when I graduated from high school, it changed to becoming an engineer. But then before going to tertiary institution, I went to my sister's room, and then I saw a calendar of Dr. Salihu Lukman. So his picture was there, his name, and then beneath it, it was written BSc, MSc, PhD, PPNIQS, ACI, ARB, blah, 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 about 8 of them. I said, this is so superb. How I wish I can have all this. Okay, then I told myself, the first 3 are degrees which you can get academically, depending on your hard work. BSc, MSc, PhD. The others are some professional membership, certifications, and fellowship, and what have you. I told myself that, okay, these first 3, inshallah, I will get them. So when I went to start my IJMB, my books, if you want to see them now, I wrote my name as Engineer Salihu Lukman, open bracket, BEng, MSc, PhD. All my books were like that. When someone looks at that, he will say, this is someone that is lunatic. He is not yet admitted into a university, yet he is appending BEng, MSc, PhD to his name. But that is to tell you how passionate, how zealous. I want to be like, I want to get these degrees that he has. And I want to do it at all costs and by all means. So, when I started 100 level, still I write my name as Engineer Salihu Lukman, but then in 200 level, Dr. Suleiman Garba advised me to stop writing my name as Engineer Salihu Lukman. But then the rest is history, in the sense that after my first degree, second degree, and third degree. But that was the inspiration. That was someone that I have seen only once in my lifetime, probably. And it was just in a calendar. But then I was fascinated. I felt that, okay, I want to get this. And then I followed it with concrete steps until I got all of them. So what am I saying? You have to look up to a role model. You have to identify who your role model is and then walk the talk. Never give up on your dream. Be steadfast and tenacious. I think from my instances, the examples I cited, you will agree with me that no matter what dream you are nurturing, you have to be steadfast. You have to be tenacious. You have to pursue it with all vigor. With all vigor. Now, I still have some other stories of Newton, Faraday, Einstein versus Niels Bohr or Heisenberg. In this regard, that is, never give up on your dream and to be steadfast and tenacious. What stories do I have for Newton? Newton was someone that is very reserved. He dislikes criticism. So he has a lot of discoveries, yet he wasn't willing to present them because he hates being criticized. So what did he do? He wrote everything in his book, Principia, that was in Latin, Principles of, I think, Mathematical Philosophy also. So all his discoveries were written in that. But then, like I told you, he wanted to become an alchemist, mixing metals to get gold. And he never gave up on that until his death. Yet, he couldn't achieve anything in that regard, in alchemy. That's why you will never hear the name of Newton in alchemy or in chemistry at all. Because at that time, chemistry was at the, infant level. Because then even the elements were not discovered. They were in the Aristotelian stage, in the sense that they know only of 4 elements. They call water, air, fire, and I think sand also. That was what they call elements, the 4 elements. And you and I know that all these 4 are not elements, isn't it? So that was the stage that Newton was. So he couldn't make any headway. He tried and tried until his death. He was steadfast and tenacious, yet he couldn't achieve anything, mark you. But then let's move to Faraday. We all know Faraday, Michael Faraday, the electric boy, who revolutionized the whole of the electrical engineering. He was unlettered, he didn't go to school, he was a bookbinder, but he learned how to read. So when you take a book for him to bind, he will read. So he developed interest in electricity because of the books he binds and his reading. And then he became a lab assistant to one of the then greatest chemists. And then thereafter, the professors were discussing on they know how to create magnetism using electricity. But they are thinking of how can we do the reverse, to create electricity using magnetism. He was just passing by as lab attendant, cleaning the beakers and what have you. And Faraday was one of the greatest experimental physicists. So he carried out a series of experiments. And then he discovered what is called field. It was Faraday that discovered field, be it electric field, magnetic field. And then he discovered electromagnetic induction. He discovered benzene, Faraday's laws of electrolysis, the first and the second, and all that you all know about Faraday. But during his time, he was still viewed as some kind of a failure because Faraday knew no mathematics. So he cannot express all his findings mathematically. So he was like more or less rejected by the scientists of the time that this, is someone that is unlettered. He didn't go to Cambridge and what have you. But then when he died, someone, Max Planck also, put all his findings in mathematical form. And then that gave birth to transformers, which we used to enjoy this light. That was Faraday. And then Einstein versus Bohr and Heisenberg. They have a lot of conflict or debate on atomic theory. We all know the atom, isn't it? Electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson, isn't it? Around 1897. But then, where is the electron? That is the million-dollar question. You have a lot of theories, atomic theories. You have, I think, Dalton atomic theory. You have the Rutherford. You have the Bose theory, and what have you. The position of electron, that's what gave rise to what is called the quantum mechanics. Bohr and Heisenberg postulated that you cannot know the position of an electron. It is something like what Einstein called spooky action. That, like in this hall, of course there are electrons because we have all these white bulbs, they emit electrons. But if I want to measure electron here, I will find it. If I want to measure it anywhere, I will find it. But without measurement, I will not say precisely that it is here. So this is some kind of spooky, as Einstein will put it. They debated, but at the end, Bohr and Heisenberg won. And that's what gave rise to the Copenhagen atomic theory, that you can only describe the position of an electron using probability function. You cannot say exactly this is where it is. And Einstein, until his death, he didn't believe in quantum mechanics. Until his death in 1955, he did not believe in quantum mechanics. This is how tenacious, although he was wrong. He was wrong, obviously, but this is to tell you that whatever you believe in, I mean, you have to stick with that and move on with it. Now, after all is said and done, I have talked about being hardworking and excelling in all that you do. You should bear in mind that opportunities abound, and this our world now, we have what is called survival of the fittest, in the sense that before, during our time, in our hamlet, to have graduates, you can count the number of houses that, that have students in university. But now almost in every house, all are graduates. Before, you can count the number of MSc holders. Now almost everyone around you is an MSc holder. Before, PhD, that is nowhere, even in a whole town. Maybe you can count on your fingertips those with PhDs. But now, you have almost all having PhD holders, a lot of people. So what am I heading to? I want to tell you that now the world has changed. It is survival of the fittest. You have to do extra work. You have to have certain advantages. And these advantages can manifest itself in many ways, not just in academic area. I'm not saying you must all be PhD holders, you must all graduate with first class. No way. You can be a third class, but like I mentioned, with every disability, there's ability. You can be a third class, but you may have an outstanding ability that a first class does not have. Bank on that. You can be a very entrepreneurial, so you can be our Dangote of our time. You can have a lot of skills that someone that is very excellent or that is academically sharp may not have. Identify those skills and bank on them and count on them. The world now has changed. It is survival of the fittest. I remember about 2 years back or so when the governor of Kaduna State mentioned that anybody who graduates with first class will be sponsored abroad. And then when the list was gathered, in Kaduna State, I think there were about 70-something to 80 with first class. 70-something to 80 with first class. So you can imagine how competitive that is. So in that case, probably they will have to scale it down. Instead of now maybe sponsoring all, they may have to give them another screening exams so as to get maybe best 20, 30, and what have you, depending on their budget. So what am I saying? Survival of the fittest. And survival of the fittest, it doesn't mean you must just be academically sound. No. Identify your skill, identify the areas that you are good at, and bank on that. That is the most important thing. And then, again, for those that want to go into academics or want to pursue higher degrees, or not even the bachelor's degrees, travel out for study. I mean, go to abroad. We are used to our system. Whenever you go abroad, you will learn a lot of different things that will reshape your life. Don't think the world started and will be ending in Ahmadu Bello University. Try as much as possible to grab any opportunity that will enable you to travel abroad to study. Now, I think even the Kaduna State are calling for, they are sending students for bachelor degrees, most especially in the medical field. So avail yourself of any of those opportunities, and they are there. It's only for you to search for them and you will get them. We have the PTDF for MSc and PhD. It is still there. So once you have 2.2, 2.1, first class, you can still apply for PhD to go for your master's or PhD. And you have still scholarship by universities or by countries. Maximize any opportunity while abroad. Of course, you should maximize any opportunity. Whatever new thing you will learn from there, make sure you utilize it and maximize it to the fullest. And remember that the best of mankind is he who brings benefit to others. In that case, whatever you see that is good out there, try to bring it back to your people as much as possible. Because the best of mankind is he who brings benefit to others. And then for students, and thank God most of those here are students. There is a website in which we have some free educational resources, free textbooks, standard textbooks, in which all you need to do is good internet connection, and you can download as many as you want to. It is called libgen.io. Whether you are in high school, whether in the university, you can download all the books, all the SHOM series, for secondary school, all the textbook in your particular area of expertise, all of them. When I say all, I mean all. Because so far, I think in my area of expertise, I have downloaded over 5,000 to 6,000 books from this website. So avail yourself of this opportunity, take down this website and spread it all over. You can download, I think, maximum of 3 books at a time, simultaneous download. But there is no limit to the number of textbooks you can download. Good textbook, American textbooks that your money cannot afford you to purchase them. But these books are extremely, expensive. You can have one textbook, $200, $500. You cannot afford such books. And you need them in your area. So avail yourself of this opportunity. Thank you for listening.
MashaAllah. Doctor, words cannot express our immense gratitude to what you have done to us. I would like to invite your mentor to give a remark on what you have said and also to give his goodwill message to the graduating students. Professor Brian Jones.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.